Hello and welcome to another week of 7:30. Tonight, the Australian research that could finally solve one of the world's greatest aviation mysteries.
You live every day going, I wonder where they are. We can't move on. We don't know where our family are.
Well, it is floating a little differently from the Mark III.
We're much more optimistic about this second surge. It's the only place that actually ticks all the boxes.
I think it's a reasonably good chance. It's certainly better than 50%.
It's a much smoother drive, a much cooler drive.
Also, the conflicting signals about the future of electric cars.
There's simply no case to give electric cars in Australia any special subsidies.
These are the technologies of the future. These are the jobs of the future. The federal government should be getting on board.
And we meet one of the world's most loved cooks, Nigella Lawson.
Now this is the essential ingredient. When I think about my life, I do see it in terms of sitting around various tables and being with my family.
Where is Malaysia Airlines Flight 370? The search for the plane is back on this week in an attempt to crack the mystery for the devastated families. Nearly 4 years ago, MH370 departed Kuala Lumpur bound for Beijing. It was due to touch down 6 hours later. Instead, it vanished, along with all 239 people on board, including 6 Australians. Now there's hope that the new search will at last reveal how and why the plane went missing. Tracy Bowden reports.
You live every day going, I wonder where they are. I look at the sky and I go, is today the day? Are you going to let us know where you are? Are we going to find you today?
Jeanette Maguire knows all about waiting and hoping. Her sister and brother-in-law, Kathy and Bob Lawton, were on board flight MH370.
We can't move on. We don't know where our family are. When you go through grief, you generally get to say goodbye to people. You can go to a funeral, you see the coffins. We haven't got any of that.
She was the person in our family that held all of us together. She was the person who was a constant in my life.
In Kuala Lumpur, Grace Nathan has been keeping the same sad vigil, wondering what happened to her mother, Anne Daisy.
Not understanding what was going on in the plane, not knowing or maybe never knowing what my mother was feeling or what the other passengers were feeling, what it was like for them. These thoughts have just been a constant. It's there, it's present every single day. Just not knowing, just being in constant limbo has been something that is very, very difficult to live with.
The families haven't been able to move on. They're in the same position. It's the worst sort of purgatory. It really is, to not know what happened.
370, we are ready, requesting flight number 350 to Beijing.
Malaysia 370 is set to Beijing via Vibor's Alpha departure.
On May the 8th, 2014, Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 was on its way from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. As it left Malaysian airspace, the pilot was instructed to switch to air traffic control in Vietnam.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9.
The response was the final voice contact from the plane, less than an hour after takeoff.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
But the aircraft would never arrive in Beijing. Malaysian Airlines confirmed it had lost contact with MH370. Distraught families waited for news. There was wild speculation about what had happened to the missing aircraft. Theories included an act of murder-suicide by one of the crew, mechanical failure or even hijacking. Investigations revealed the plane had veered off its regular flight path. Satellite data showed it was heading into the southern Indian Ocean off the coast of Western Australia.
We owe it to the families, we owe it to the world to do whatever we reasonably can to get to the bottom of the mystery, and we won't let them down.
Australia took the lead in a multinational air and sea search. The 3-year operation covered 120,000 square kilometres and cost $200 million. It provided no answers and was suspended last year.
Having not found the aircraft does not indicate failure. It indicates that the aircraft is not in that 120,000 square kilometre search area.
It is with sadness that we have to announce the suspension.
It was always hoped that debris from the plane would provide vital clues. In mid-2015, a wing part or flaperon, later confirmed to be from MH370, was found on the island of Réunion near Madagascar. Other debris turned up along the African coast.
So this one is still not beam to the wind.
Research in Tasmania by CSIRO oceanographer David Griffin is now the basis for a new search. He used replicas as well as an actual Boeing 777 flaperon to conduct drift analysis. That helped him narrow the search zone to an area at 35 degrees south in the southern Indian Ocean, north of the original search zone and significantly smaller.
It's the only place that actually ticks all the boxes, with the absence of anything being found on Australia's coast, the timing of the arrival of the flaperon and other items of debris all point to it being 35.
Many things have been learnt since that first search was designed, so we're much more optimistic about this second search.
The new search is about to get underway after the Malaysian government signed a no-find, no-fee agreement with seabed exploration firm Ocean Infinity. If it's successful within 90 days, the company could be paid up to $70 million.
Now have a fleet of 8 autonomous underwater vehicles that are packed with a variety of sensors and detectors, cameras, that can go off below the surface of the sea on their own and ultimately find out what's there.
Although I'm relieved that the search is finally back on, we've fought so hard ever since the plane disappeared for this search to continue. But at the same time, it's so difficult to be optimistic because at every single juncture in the past, we've always been met with disappointment.
Very excited in one instance. It's obviously very heart-wrenching, brings up a lot of issues within our family. We're back on the roller coaster, but overwhelmingly happy.
I think for the first time, the search zone is narrowed on the basis of different pieces of information, and that is valid. I think it's a reasonably good chance. It's certainly better than 50%.
He may be more confident about a result this time, but veteran UK-based oceanographer David Mearns questions the approach of the initial search.
In hindsight, that was one of the mistakes of the first search, was that they were too optimistic. They covered a huge area and thought it would be there, and it wasn't. On one hand, you could say it's not there, and that is information that's helpful. But if there was never any chance of it being there, then in one sense that's a wasted effort.
Key to solving the mystery is the aircraft's black box, which contains a flight data recorder and a cockpit voice recorder.
The chances of it still being readable after 4 years almost in the water are really unknowable.
If the black box doesn't have any data that's retrievable, can we learn anything if the wreckage is found?
I think so. The wreckage field under the water will be able to inform how the aircraft actually hit the water, most likely. But we still don't know, we won't know why. And of course, I think more than the how, the why is the puzzle behind this. Why did it end up in that part of the ocean?
I've personally been involved in a plane search. It was down much longer, I think nearly 11 years. And we found the black boxes and data was recovered. So data can still be recovered after a long period of time.
David Mearns believes that an explanation of what happened to MH370 is not only vital for the families, but for the airline industry.
Unless we know what happened to that plane, we're all at risk of potentially the same thing happening again.
Finding the plane would be very painful for us, a painful realization that this flight has ended in such a tragic way. But at the same time, I believe it is a necessary evil almost, because if we don't find this plane, then when will our healing properly begin?
Find them. Have to find them. The likelihood of getting anyone home is pretty non-existent. But to know where they are brings us closer. It will help us get the peace that we need.
Tracy Bowden reporting there. For years now, we've